Kamala Harris set to propose a federal ban on food and grocery price gouging. Polls, of course, have shown that the economy is the biggest issue for voters this November, and Trump holds a wide lead over Harris when it comes to economic policy.
Well, we all know that prices at the grocery store remain stubbornly high. In fact, federal data shows overall grocery prices have climbed more than 24% from 2018 to this year. Well, now a new poll finds as more New Yorkers struggle with rising food prices, they are cutting back on healthy foods. It is a tough reality impacting parents of school children and rural households the most.
I mean, you want to eat healthy, and you want to be able to be healthy, but unfortunately, the economy is not allowing for that.
A new survey from Change Research and No Kid Hungry shows 85% of New Yorkers say the cost of food is rising faster than their income, and nearly half of New Yorkers say it's much harder to afford groceries now.
And it doesn't matter if they make $30,000 or $100,000. This is something felt by New Yorkers of all incomes.
That's because while very few got double-digit raises in the last few years, groceries saw double-digit percentage increases. Items like cereals and bakery products up 26%. Meats, poultry, fish, and eggs up nearly 25%, and fruits and veggies up 16%.
Eggs, there was a short reprieve on the price of eggs, and now all of a sudden they're skyrocketing.
Those feeling the differences the most are parents of school-age kids, with 87% saying their incomes aren't keeping up with the cost of food.
So Kamala Harris is proposing price control specifically on groceries, because everywhere she goes, even though she gives this copy and paste speech, she wants to talk about identity politics. She wants people to be emotional and hate Donald Trump. The one thing that she can't avoid hearing is that prices are skyrocketing all over the place. People can't afford homes. People can barely afford to feed themselves, feed their children. So what does these communist left-wing Democrats come out with? Price control. They say, how about we tell the grocery stores that, no, you can't sell that bread for $3. It has to be $1. No, you can't sell those eggs for $8.50. No, those eggs have to be $4 by decree of the government. Not by supply and demand, but by decree of the government. That's what she's coming up with. That's what these Democrats are coming up with, because she doesn't know anything about this. She was asked about economics, and she had no idea about how economics works.
And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously.
So the people behind her and these communists at the DNC, this is their plan. Full-blown communism. And what's the main problem with inflation going on? What's the biggest reason why we're having this skyrocketing inflation? Government spending. These people cannot stop spending money. They add about $1 trillion to the national debt every 100 days. Insane amount of spending. We had the stimmy packages, particularly Joe Biden, because he wanted to spend so much money. During C-19, when he came in office, he spent trillions printed. Remember, the United States doesn't have excess money. After they spend all of the money from taxes, they still want to spend trillions and trillions of dollars, so they print it. So they keep printing money. They spent trillions of dollars during C-19, billions and billions of dollars to fund wars in Israel, to give money to Taiwan, to fight Russia over there in Ukraine, just printing money. And every time they print money, the dollar debt the everyday citizen has is worth less. It's supply and demand. But these communists don't understand that. Bloated welfare programs. You go the first of the month, you go to Walmart, Target, somewhere, you'll see grocery carts filled because of food stamps. Because the government, again, is printing money to give welfare out, hand out welfare to people, and they abuse it. hundreds of dollars unnecessary spending. It could be way lower than that. On top of that, you got illegal immigrants coming in by the millions. Guess what they're getting? Printed money, food stamps and stuff like that from the government. It's supply and demand. But here's the thing about it. If you want to lower prices on stuff, the government has to incentivize and help supply goods, flood the market with food, help more farms, grocery stores be built. Instead, what the government is doing is increasing the supply of money. So it has the opposite effect. If you flood the market with food, the prices of food is going to go down. But if you flood the market with money, the value of money goes down, which means the price of food goes up. But again, these companies don't understand that. So that's what they're offering. But these Democrats, they don't seem to understand it because they're still crying about what they're spending. But at the same time, they're fully behind Kamala Harris because Orange Man bad. So let's look at what Donald Trump had to say about this. And let's also look at financial guru Dave Ramsey explaining this from his point of view.
Grocery prices have skyrocketed. Cereals are up 26%. Bread is up 24%. Butter is up 37%. Baby formula is up 30%. Flour is up 38%. And eggs are up 46%. And many items are up at much higher rates than that. Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger, dramatically more inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act, by the way, was a disaster. It's what caused the inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act was a con job. They actually admitted that it wasn't really for inflation that they did it. They don't know why they did it, but they named it the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a very nice name. Got approved based on that. Unfortunately, people didn't understand it. I understood it. I said that's going to cause tremendous inflation, and it did, among other things like energy. She's running on the Maduro plan. We call it the Maduro plan, like something straight out of Venezuela or the Soviet Union. This announcement is an admission that her economic policies have totally failed and caused really a catastrophe for our country, and beyond that, a catastrophe in the world.
I'm 20 years old. Why is a one-bedroom apartment $600, $1,600? Rent prices is outrageous, and then these jobs, they're bare minimum jobs. I really waited my whole life to grow up and do this.
My parents are Gen X's, and they've never owned a house at all. And there were many times where we were homeless.
I kept a full-time job the whole time I was homeless. It's just that everything is so expensive nowadays that what do you prioritize? Like, do you prioritize eating over having a home?
We have to make 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and that's not fun money. That's money so that we're not homeless.
This is heartbreaking to hear. The question is, do these young people really think a President Harris will revive their prospects with policies like price controls? Joining me now, Dave Ramsey, personal finance expert, host of the fabulous The Ramsey Show. Dave, great to see you tonight. Okay, price controls. Talk to young people for a moment. Is that going to fix this problem, dig them out of that financial hole?
No, because it's artificial. It's not sustainable because it's artificial. If you just put a lid on something, and if you want to explore what really happens, just go back to the 1970s. We tried it. There was a whole movement for price controls across everything because inflation was out of control and rampant, just like it is now. And so it's been tried. It does not work. What works is to flood the market with supply. Lots of oil means lower oil prices. Lots of labor means lower labor prices. Lots of whatever means lower prices. It's a simple supply-demand curve. It's called economics, and it's called the free market economics. When you insert government in it and try to artificially cramp it down, it simply does not work because you can only hold that hose for so long until the pressure builds up and then it blows on you.
So this is why the Democrats run away from the policy conversation. You go to Kamala Harris's website, they have nothing about policy at all. It just says donate. When you go to the rallies, when you talk to Kamala supporters in the Senate and the House, when you talk to these propagandist journalists on CNN, ABC, all they have is emotion. Oh, Trump is racist. Oh, Trump is evil. Orange man bad. And when you try to talk about policies, they'll try to switch the conversation around. They'll say, how dare you talk about a black woman, even though she's Indian, not even black. How dare you talk about a black woman? You must be racist. They try to keep everything on identity politics and emotion. They have nothing to say about policy at all. They'll cry and say, why are you being mean? Why are you saying mean stuff? Can't we just talk about the issues? But when you start talking about the issues, they run back to identity politics and emotion. Because when it comes to economics and other issues, the Democrats have nothing. Look at this. Their proposal, their solution to the grocery store prices, to the skyrocketing inflation costs at the grocery store, is calling the grocery store owners and food suppliers price gougers evil, saying that you're going to put a lid on this and force them to sell at certain prices. The best thing to do is get the government the hell out of the way. But again, communists don't understand it. Their ideas are absolute garbage. So let's look at Elon Musk talking about this, talking about inflation and how the government is extremely inefficient, and maybe he might have to jump in and help the government fix this.
I mean, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. And I'd be happy to help out on such a commission.
I'd love
if
it.
it were formed. Well, it's just from government overspending and not spending taxpayer money effectively, and having just like so many departments, you can't even name them all. And if you take Venezuela, for example, Venezuela should be incredibly prosperous. They have phenomenal reserves of everything, oil, everything, and it should be prosperous. But if the government's wrong, it impoverishes the people. And so I think we should not be complacent in the United States and thinking that and taking our prosperity for granted, because if with bad government policy, we can run the country into the ground. And that's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
A major step to solving inflation, lowering these prices, is to cut government spending. But they can't help. These people in DC are addicted to printing money. We need to get rid of all these people. These people want to print money, trillions and trillions of dollars for wars, trillions of dollars in stimmy packages, completely unnecessary. All these handouts. But then they want to talk about, well, why are prices up? It must be price gouging by the grocery store. It's completely ridiculous, man. But that's what they got to offer. So let me know what you guys think about this. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.